What's up everybody, welcome back to Nintendo Land, and we just got Wave 3 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass, and we are going to go through all 8 tracks and talk about the shortcuts and fastest routes to make sure you guys know the most optimum paths in this game, and you know when to use those precious mushrooms when you get them. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and all things Nintendo in general. Starting off with London Loop, the very first thing that we want to take is this right, because going straight is a little bit longer than cutting to the right and going by the buses here. If you have mushrooms, you want to use them right here by the chain chomp. Now you'll probably need 2 to make sure that you get all the way through the grass, so make sure you have enough. London Loop has tons of other parkway grass areas that you can blast through, so make sure if you have mushrooms, you're looking for many opportunities to cut corners. And yes, you can use a mushroom on this chain chomp right here because it will always extend outward, allowing you to go right through the chain. Bootleg only has one real shortcut on the entire track, and it actually can be a tricky one if you're moving too fast, and you have to make sure you position yourself well. Once you go into the water, you'll notice a gap in the fence on the left, and you'll notice some cardboard bushes that you can slide through. Now you want to start drifting before you even go through this gap, and wait to hit your mushroom until you get very close to the bushes. The only reason you need the mushroom is to go through the bushes. Don't think you need it to reach the platform, or you'll smack into that side wall every time and not hit it clean enough. Rock Mountain, believe it or not, has a ton of little things that you can do to make sure you get the lead up on your opponents. First off, when you're flying, you want to hit the air vent coming out of the pipe because it gives you a little bit of boost and it also propels you forward a little bit, so definitely go for that every time if you can. Once you land, you'll immediately want to start drifting towards the right and use a mushroom in order to hit this ramp. One mushroom should be good enough. Flying over the finish line, you can go all the way out to the left to see 2 pipes shooting up air. You only need the first one to propel you far enough if you cut it to the right a little bit. The second one does give you an extra boost, but it could be hard to control once you land. That's really up to the player. But let's go back to the gliding section in the middle of the course. You can actually cut it through the trees if you have mushrooms and just use the mushrooms to blast yourself back on the track a little faster, getting a little bit of a gap cut. But it's actually possible to cut it even more to the right towards the other end of the trees and just use mushrooms to blast yourself all the way through the grass to the end of the pathway. Now on 150cc, you're not going to make it all the way to the end, so you want to cut over at the last second. On 200cc, 3 mushrooms is more than enough to get you all the way to the end of the path. In fact, it'll even let you take that shortcut with the ramp, which is more just cool than anything because once you hit that ramp, you're probably going to smack into the side of the wall. So your best option is just to keep cutting that entire wall and just pass the ramp altogether and boost your way straight up the mountain, which is an extreme shortcut. Also, if you decide to not use the air vents, you can actually do tricks off of the top of the pipes as you go over them and even the top of the trees as they hang over the path, which is definitely very useful. But once again, trying to cut that corner on 150cc just may not be fast enough to allow it all the way to the end of the path, so you have to cut back over sooner than later. You'll still make it, but you'll get slowed down a little bit. Maple Treeway is a pretty easy to learn track with not too many shortcuts that are going to switch anything up, but there is some things to definitely note in order to make sure that you have the fastest times. Look, I know the new wall ramps are back from Mario Kart Wii, but it's just not smart to take them if you want to get through quicker because they do take a lot of time, unless there's items up there. Once again, I did not check all the item spawns for these tracks yet. I just kind of went through on time trials. It's definitely faster just to drift around the bend instead. Coming out of the final glider section, you can go to the tree trunks in the right or the left in order to hit boost pads in order to move faster. At the very start of the track, you'll probably not have a mushroom, of course, but on your way back around, save your mushrooms because you can take this shortcut through the grass. And one tip I have for you is just to keep your drift held because it just continues going to the left, so you can have one clean swoop of a drift straight into the cannon. Berlin Byways to me seem like one of the harder tracks to drive on. This car is going every which way and even the shortcuts coming out of them can lead you straight into oncoming traffic, so you really have to pay attention to where you're going on this track. Now you can choose to go into the subway car, but it's actually faster just to continue drifting on the inside, and probably getting on the complete inside is even better. And same goes for the section by the water. You can actually stay on the lower right hand side, hugging that wall, keeping your drift tighter. Around this bend there's a spot of grass where you can actually boost through the light pole as well with a mushroom. And there'll be another one right after the road with the medians on them. Just boost through that one as well, but watch out for the cars like I said because they will be right in front of you. You will then come up on a park area and there's some grass you can drift through and some trees that you can drift right around, which is really cool. Drifting inside the trees will throw you straight back on the track, but right onto oncoming traffic, which means you can smack into a car, so you definitely have to be careful. And upon going through the final lap, you'll see a section of more grass and some stones that line it, which means you can get through it, but it's going to be a tight squeeze. Peach Garden's got some changes from its original version on the DS, but it's still very unique to that version as well. For one, the very first shortcut through the giant garden of flowers is easily accessible with a mushroom. The next section has a different flower layout now, which means you can't cut it close and do a little shortcut, and you can't use mushrooms through the flowers. I mean, you can, but it's just going to be incredibly tight. When you arrive to the maze area, you'll definitely want to stay on the inside and just do lots of drifts back and forth, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to get mini boost all the way through the maze, and you should be fine. Just watch out for the chain chomp. And of course, all the grass by the Monty Moles can be dashed through with a mushroom. Now, with this final lap, it's actually completely different than the original. It takes you back around the opposite way, which I absolutely love. It shows you more of the castle, different angles of the courtyard and the gardens themselves, but this video isn't about how much I really like this track. It's about shortcuts. So there's no real other shortcut. Everything is just the same thing you've done already, just going back the other way. You can go through Luigi's hand and the bushes, so definitely take that as a quicker route instead of trying to swerve around it. You can't go through Peach though. It will kind of bump you. You can technically get through, but it will be sloppy and not worth it, so just don't try it. Merry Mountain is a very simple track, but also has a secret to it. Now, starting off, there's two paths. There's the up path on the train tracks and the bottom path down on the ground, and it really just depends on what you think is better. Technically, the path on the ground is slightly faster. After looking at the times, I did find that out. So if you're really competitive and have to scratch off time, definitely take the bottom path, but the top path is just prettier, so take it all the time, because I'm definitely going to. Now, as you're making your way up the mountain, you want to look for two pipe candles, a red one and a green one, and you want to boost to the right of them through the path straight ahead. Make sure you line yourself up well, and make sure you're not drifting either or you'll mess yourself up. You just want to go straight through. Here is where it gets very interesting. You can cut the mountain up, not super soon though, because that would just be stupid and break the level, and you can't even do it past the present. This is where you have to wait in order to cut the mountain. You will want to go all the way down to the very final present and hug it very tight as you drift through the snow with a mushroom. The tighter you hug the corner, the better the result. You can actually blast yourself all the way to the downslope of the mountain without even having to worry about the top part at all. And if you hug it tight enough, there's actually a little cliff that you can slide off of, and you might need a second mushroom in order to boost yourself even further off that cliff, but it is a heck of a shortcut. With a couple of practices and getting your timing down, you'll be able to nail this thing, and like I said, this avoids going all the way up to the top of the mountain and already puts you on a down slope, which is amazing. And then finally, we have Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 7. There's not many shortcuts here really at all. It's just about optimal cuts and how you race on the track. First off, you'll come into the section with Jupiter, and you'll need to drift and also do tricks off of each platform, which means you have to quickly tap R, hold it again, and continue drifting after each tap of R, which once you get the hang of it, it's not that difficult. On the drifting section around Saturn, I like to keep my back tires just close enough to hit the back pads, and my front ones close enough to hit the front ones as well, meaning that you'll pick up every boost you possibly can. Then you will come to the section with the windy road with holes in it. You want to stay on this road for as long as possible and continue to do tricks, because the gravity section pulls you down very slowly onto the moon, which means it will take you down a lot slower, meaning it's a lot slower to move forward. You want to continue to stay on this path as long as you can, try not to fall in the holes. Once you reach the tunnel, you'll want to move in the opposite direction that the boost pads are moving, so that way you can continue to hit each one without having to swerve. That's why I continue to slowly go to the right. Once you get to the end of the tunnel, you'll notice that there's blue boost ramps and orange boost ramps. The blue ones put you in the air and let you glide, and the orange ones will just take you down to the bottom part. Now, I guess this is really just up to you. The bottom part does have boost ramps as well, but to me, I always felt like gliding was a lot faster and a lot cooler as you fly through the asteroids. And that is all 8 tracks and their secrets within Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Wave 3 of the Booster Pass. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you found any more secrets and Easter eggs that you want to share about these tracks, definitely comment them down below, and thank you so much for everybody that has tuned in today. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Nintendo in general. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.